Welcome to the Live Full, Work Fun podcast. This is the show to encourage you to live your life to the fullest and do fun work that fuels your lifestyle. Hi, I'm your host, Gayla Scrivener. Every week, you'll be introduced to amazing guests, useful resources, and inspirational stories. You'll discover opportunities and perspectives to shape your version of living full and working fun. Hi there and welcome. I'm Gayla Scrivener, and this season we're exploring the theme, Don't Let the Start Stop You. It's a powerful reminder that while beginnings can be daunting, they're also the gateway to growth, success, and happiness. That's why today I've asked Sarah Hackman to the show for a conversation. Now, Sarah is the founder and creative director at Hackman Creative. Through her creative studio, she helps manufacturing companies, B2B founders, and nonprofits ditch the jargon and bring their message to life, not just in words, but in the way their brand feels. I love that, the way their brand feels. Her work blends storytelling, strategy, and design to help brands with a bold vision show up with more clarity, courage, and fun. Well, welcome, Sarah. I'm so glad you're here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Gayla.
We both work in marketing, in the marketing world, and we're so bombarded with the endless hype and that elevated, I don't even know what you call it, just this elevated feeling or stress or urgency in marketing. And from the very first moment I met you, I just have felt this sense of calm and steadiness, and I just love to talk with you. So I'm so glad you're here on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to have this conversation.
What got you in creating your business to begin with? It's no secret that running and growing a business is hard. How long have you been doing it, and what got you going?
Starting a business and growing a business is definitely hard. So it's a fair question to ask, why would you even do this? Why would you take this challenge? I have had my business for 4 years. I took that leap of faith, if you will, after working in publishing, nonprofit communications, and seeing how intentionality with design and marketing fused together could really make a difference for businesses and organizations that have some sort of social good connected to what they're doing.
The idea of helping brands ditch the jargon. What does that look like in practice?
I'm sure you've been in conversations where folks start talking like a normal human, and then at some point they shift into acronyms or tech speak, the details of like the functions of the thing that they make. That switch to me feels like folks are trying to communicate about their products or service or their organization in a way that they quote unquote should. Like, this is the professional way to do it. This is the way to show up. But that should language, that jargon kind of comes through, and it doesn't really land for actual humans. So whenever I think about ditching the jargon, I like to think about it in terms of speaking like an actual human. It really is a mindset shift for a business owner, a marketing director, anyone in a role who's having to talk about what they're doing, sales teams, to shift from, let's just list out the specs and technicalities, or let's lift out these acronyms. It almost feels like you're having to prove something. But if you think back to when you are explaining what you do, what you make, your products or services, just to your friend, if you're just explaining it, if you zoom into some of that more human language, that's actually what connects more than this buttoned up, it's what I'm supposed to say, professional speak.
Professional speak. Yeah, there is a language like in the back office type thing. The customers don't necessarily know that back office lingo. It seems like you're softening the message or making it more clear when you're presenting of the corporate speak or the stuffy speak. How do you do that? I mean, how do you draw that out?
I love how you asked, how are you drawing that out? Because that is definitely what it is. It's not something that is an immediate thing for folks because they get into such a routine of this is how we say it. They're then trying to re-strengthen this muscle. So I help companies figure that out through a messaging process that I use. I'm thinking of one particular client of mine that's a manufacturing company. And whenever we are talking about their products and services in the discovery part of our process, and when we are drawing out that brand narrative, when I first start asking them questions, they start with the way they should. They start talking about it in terms of those like professionally terms and language. But then I turn the question around them just a little bit and ask about their customers or their clients and how those folks interact with the company as a whole throughout this process. And then I start to get the good stuff. When I ask about actual conversations they've had with the clients, or why did they pick you, or what was it like to work with you on this particular project? And the human behind the professional is explaining what happened or explaining the process that their client goes through in human ways, then I almost see this light bulb go off in their eyes and in their minds in a sense. It almost feels like a little bit like brand therapy because they're realizing, oh, that's what we're actually doing for our clients. So while I'm helping them draw out that story to ditch the jargon, they're actually seeing that process as well and taking ownership of it for themselves.
So when you're doing that branding exercise, you're changing the way they communicate about themselves all across the board, I could imagine.
Yes, yes. It's not just in the marketing collateral, like on a website or on social media posts, but it's how the entire team is talking about the work that they do. And it's not, when it's done well, it's not in this way that makes it feel like more work for the sales team, the marketing team, or the product development team. When you actually craft a story that feels human and ditches that jargon and get everyone aligned with that, they don't feel like, oh, this is some other work to do. I have to read a book about how to talk about our work. Or they don't feel like, well, I've been doing it wrong this whole time. And you're finally, this is just a reprimand of we're doing it wrong. But they actually feel empowered because they've been serving their customers well all this time. They just have new language around how to talk about what it is that they do.
Being real with people. That's what you're
Yes.
talking about. And I keep hearing you say feel. So has marketing gotten so impersonal that now it's time to bring it down to earth?
Yes. Yes, it has. There are so many tech tools in the world or ways of we feel like we have to show up in this certain way professionally, bro marketing, all these different pockets of marketing that feel like customer and brand are these two completely separate things in opposite worlds. But whenever you speak in a more human way, you connect with actual humans. Guess what your customers are? Actual humans.
Really? Well, even when someone says, well, I'm a B2B, I'm a company
Yeah.
selling to a company, what do you say to that?
Who are you talking to on the other end of that email or that phone call? The sales director that you're speaking with, the marketing director. If the VP of a department is your decision maker, are they a human or are they this amorphous brand? They're a human. Yes, you're trying to help the company succeed, but you want to help Robert, the VP, succeed in his role and speak in a way that connects with him and what he's trying to accomplish in the company that he works for in that larger brand. So you still have to speak to a human.
There are companies that might have worked with marketers or designers in the past, and they may have an incorrect picture of what a good working relationship should be like with a designer. Can you walk us through how you help companies or brands push past like initial hesitation in working with you or any misunderstandings with working with a designer?
A lot of people have misunderstandings about working with the designer because it can feel like, well, design is just that pretty stuff. It's superfluous. It's not necessary. Or they might be coming from the perspective of having had a bad experience with the designer. Maybe they felt like maybe they, the company, felt like I had to do a lot of work to get the project to completion. I had to give a lot of input, or I had to put together a mood board. I had to find samples. I had to, where it felt like more work for them. So it either feels like more work for them, maybe it feels like they're going through a design process that doesn't really feel like it's worth an investment. And if you've experienced that, I encourage you to take a breath. That the design process doesn't have to be that way. The way I approach design specifically is thinking about it from the overall brand feel, because design isn't just making something pretty, it's making something strategic. All of the colors that we choose in our marketing, all of the fonts that we select, the photos we select, the type of illustrations we use in our icons, those are all visual information that people see either on a screen, physically in their hand with printed collateral. And the thing about visual things is it's all non-conscious. So much of design is non-conscious. Our brains can't really put language to why something works or doesn't for the most part. But when design is approached with intentionality, it can make people feel excited about a product, a service, or a specific brand. It might make people feel at ease whenever they're looking at a website for a medical provider. Maybe someone in their family was diagnosed with a rare medical condition, and here's the service provider. If the colors and the typography have more of this excited danger kind of vibe to it, maybe you're not going to feel too at ease whenever you're looking at information for that medical provider. But if the color selections, the font usage, even how the information is laid out on the page, if that is presented in a way that aligns with how you want people to feel when they step in through your door, if you have a physical place, the metaphorical door, if it's a digital space, then that's helpful for your brand. So when you think about working with a designer, think about how that person, the person in that design role, is supporting you in creating that feeling that you want folks to have for your brand.
How do you get that feeling? I mean, is it the business culture that if something's more fun versus not professional? I mean, I think that all businesses can be professional, but there's a fun flair. Like, for example, I love the language that you use on your website. It's fun, it's kind of flirty, it's just really, I like it, and it's very friendly. And it's like, oh, that would be cool, but that's not my personality, right? And so getting the personality out of either the company's culture is that goes through the branding process, the messaging process. Is that correct? Or how do you
Yes, it
draw out
definitely
a
does.
personality of a
How
company?
how do you draw out a personality? Well, I'm delighted that you mentioned my website and my visual branding and the language on my website, and that is a reflection of me. The folks who work with me on their branding projects, all their marketing collateral, they interact with me throughout that process. And in the different meetings that we have where we draw out that visual brand, it's not this stuffy, buttoned up type of meeting. I don't just send a questionnaire and have you fill that out and return it. I ask a lot of big questions about the brand. I ask a lot of silly questions about the brand. I don't think they're silly, but from if you when you first encounter one of those, you might think this is silly. But by the end of it, my clients feel like, oh, that was so much fun. And so for me, the visual brand and the language on my website reflect that this is a fun process. So it's not just Sarah's personality, but it's what the process looks like for my clients. So when I walk clients through that process with their brand, we're looking for not just what the owner sounds like, if it's an owner founder situation, but what does the experience look like for the customers and clients when they're actually doing business with you? It's totally fine if your process is more formal. There's nothing wrong or right about being more playful or more fun. But if your process is more formal, but you feel like, well, let's just do some fun brand language just to make it fun, then that's going to feel like a disconnect for your audience whenever they actually start doing business for you. It feels like oh, maybe I was misled about the personality or perception here. Or this feels different from what I expected.
Yes, I can see how it can be like a bait and switch type of scenario. If you're
Yeah.
trying to be fun and then you're expecting a more lighthearted type of experience, but once you get in there, whatever it is, it's not what you expected. I'm loving this, Sarah, that you're bringing personality and genuine communication, genuine look and feel. Feel, that's the word of the day. It's how the brand feels, and that's visually, audibly, and everything. How you read the words and how that matches up. Do you have maybe an example that comes to mind of maybe a client of yours that really struggling with improving their brand, or how did you help them with a breakthrough?
One past client that had a really neat transformation was a fabrication company that works with a lot of wastewater equipment. So you think about municipalities or big food producing companies that they have to deal with wastewater. There's nothing really pretty about that, but that is what they do. And to up level their brand and connect better with their audience, they recognized, man, our logo looks a little rusty and dusty. And while we help businesses and water treatment places up level their equipment, we don't need to look like we're rusty and dusty. Like their equipment looked rusty and dusty, but we need to present ourselves as more of that trusted partner. And here's this success that we're going to help you achieve. And yes, it's still wastewater, it's still gross, it's still equipment and machinery, but our brand needs to reflect a little bit more strength than it currently does. That's where they were. And even though they knew they needed it, there was a little bit of hesitation when we were walking through some visual concepts because of that. Oh, but we've had this for so long. We've had this logo for a while. And a logo is just the starting place. A logo does not equal your brand, it's just a part of it. But once we came out the other side of this creative process, we had this fresh logo that is bold and modern, but not avant garde and disconnected from their audience. But it had some elements of red, white, and blue that connected with a lot of the made in America, American assembly products that they have and how they deliver their services that really connected even more with the engineers and the field techs that they're working for. So it really up leveled their brand posture, so to speak, in how they presented themselves visually. And then that was the springboard to rolling out additional marketing collateral and website and language that reflected who they truly were and not just some rusty visuals and jargon.
I love that. And I love the example of an industry, of a company that people don't really talk about. It's not about what you do, it's about the relationships that you form and connecting in a way, people to reflect the trust that you talked about in this example and having that visual and the words to back it up.
Yes, that trustworthiness, that feeling that you have that I know that this company, they've got us, they're the experts, they have the authority. That is reflected in that visual look and feel of their brand and the words that they're using.
And let's talk about your Design Hotline service. What is it and what inspired you to create it?
Well, I will start with what inspired me to create it. I am a designer first and foremost. I see how things piece together and work and flow. And that is a major part of the services that I deliver to clients, really building out that visual brand and then implementing it across marketing collateral. And it takes time, investment, financial investment to actually build out those things. But all businesses are in different stages of startup growth, team size, and may or may not be able to make the time or financial investment in that visual brand. But the brand is still important. Maybe there's a team member that has that marketing seat, but maybe they don't have the background or training to do design work, but they have access to tools and resources. I think that's great. But maybe you just need someone to take a look at that, get that second perspective. Or even as a designer myself, sometimes I think, man, if I could just have another set of eyes, is there anything that I'm missing here? That's what the Design Hotline was created to solve. It's an asynchronous design feedback tool where folks can submit a request for any type of project and get screen recorded video back from me with actionable recommendations. So I'm not just going to look at it and say, well, yeah, this looks like nice. No, I'm going to make recommendations on, maybe you submit a website and say, hey, here's the first draft of this design, but something feels off. Or you may have a specific question of, hey, I have these two different sections. I'm not sure what photos to go here. And can you take a look at this typography as well? I'm going to look through that on a screen record and give you clear feedback of where to move what. Maybe here's a photo, might even pull up a stock photo website and search a couple photos and give you some quick recommendations. Because yes, access to design tools is great, but not everyone has experience being a designer. I'm here to help give some of that guidance to help you make those decisions.
You can polish up the rough drafts
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and make. Now, this service is to give recommendations, and then those recommendations go back to, and they would do the things. It's not a service that, here's my rough draft, fix it.
Correct. If you're familiar with the Butterball Turkey Hotline, I'll explain it just to be sure. But for all of the listeners, Butterball has a Thanksgiving turkey hotline. Maybe you've experienced making a turkey for the holidays and realizing, oh my gosh, I'm not sure how to do XYZ. Is my turkey ready? Or, oh my gosh, it's been in the oven for 30 minutes and it's already looking really crispy on the outside. What do I do? They have a phone number that you can call and get questions about your turkey answered. You can explain what happened and then what to do next. Now, obviously, Butterball is not going to finish preparing your turkey because I'm not sure where their call center is, but you're probably not near it. It's kind of like that. Submit your design request. I'll tell you what to do, and then you can make those changes with confidence.
Now, is this a subscription or is this a pay by month to month? Or I did notice on the website that there were three different levels.
It is a monthly subscription, but you can start and stop at any time. The three different levels, light, deluxe, and VIP, are based on the number of design hotline requests that you would like to get per month. And then with each of those levels, there's a specific turnaround time for that. So, for example, the light design hotline is 2 design hotline requests per month with a 2 business day turnaround. Deluxe is 3 with a 1 business day. And then the VIP is unlimited design hotline requests that are same day. So if you are someone who is working on a lot of different things, if you have a lot of content that you're putting out, if you're in a create, build out your marketing funnel phase, then that VIP might be good for you. And it can definitely be started and stopped at any time that you need.
Nice. Well, before we wrap up, Sarah, I wanted to hear about your own "don't let the start stop you" moment. Can you share a time when you had to overcome some initial hesitation on something that you wanted to do in your business journey? With that example, can you give advice to our listeners who might be feeling stuck right now?
A couple years ago, I was reflecting on the brand language in my own business. I do this process for other companies, but the hardest brand to create and communicate is my own. And and honestly, I was really nervous. I kept writing wireframes of my website and thinking, okay, this sounds good. But then I would reread it and think, that doesn't sound good. I mean, it sounds good objectively, but it doesn't sound like me. And so I had this fear of starting in terms of starting to sound like me. like crossing that threshold of my own brand voice. So my encouragement for someone who is in that place of letting fear stop them, don't let the start stop you. Lean into the brand voice and experience that you create for your customers and let that flow out of you, because that authenticity will attract the customers and clients that you absolutely love working with. If you stay stuck in that fear of, oh, I don't know if this is the right direction to go, I need to make sure it sounds professional, then there's a good chance you might not connect with your most favorite clients. My website, my branding materials are still very professional, but it has a level of personality that communicates the process that I take folks through. And that is so worth the starting.
Thank you for sharing today. I'm so glad that you're with me. And can you tell our listeners how they can stay in contact with you, learn more about your business and Design Hotline?
You can learn more about my business and connect with me at hackmancreative.com. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Hackman Creative. There is a link to the Design Hotline on that website, but you can also visit designhotline.com.
Awesome. I'm going to have all those links down in the show notes. Guys, thank you so much for being here today and meeting Sarah. This has been a delight. I would love to hear from you. What's your biggest takeaway? My biggest takeaway, Sarah, was step into your personality. Don't be afraid of telling people who you are, and you're going to attract the right people. I hope that everybody enjoyed the show, and until next time, live full, work fun.